and welcome to episode 202 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. It's all three of us today, and I bet you can guess why. We are recording this on a Thursday evening. You are probably watching it on a Friday, and wow, aren't we full of Sheffield Wednesday cheer? Isn't it a great time to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan? Do you know what I think's great, boys? I love it when in mid-January, the transfer window, when we've not signed any players, our chairman goes, I tell you what, let's call a fans forum because that'll cheer everyone up. We've just had a lovely time at Christmas. Wednesday are on the up, and what can I do to get involved? I'll call a fans forum and bring the whole world tumbling down on January 15th. Jake, before we get into all of that, hello, my friend. How has your week been?
It was great up until yesterday. I was having a lovely time. The snow and ice was going. The sunshine was out. It was feeling a little bit warm. Nothing too bad. I'm just having to deal with my own children, and they decided to like wrestling each other. So I'm buying a wrestling top, and I'll just be a ref in the middle. But yeah, apart from that, everything good.
Fair enough. I swear every week now it's getting more unhinged with your children's activities.
It really is.
Every single week.
Hunter can now throw a ball. You've both been in my house, so you know the vicinity. So in the middle of my front room, you know where our back door is to the kitchen?
Yeah.
He can throw a ball with his left arm over the table and hit the door.
That's good. That's good. He can get your dog running right into it and causing
that
mayhem.
dog doesn't need any help doing that. He runs into things on his own.
That's true.
He slid down the ice when it snowed.
Jack, or as I like to now call Jack, something. I said I wouldn't say it on the podcast, so I won't say it on the podcast. Hello, Jack. How are you?
Boy.
Oh God, honestly, the last week, I'm probably the best I've been for about 10 days now. Because I wasn't on the episode 200 because I literally couldn't eat solid food. Great, it was amazing. Because I've basically had like the worst case of tonsillitis that I've had for the last, I think, 2 years, and a horrified experience. So at the moment, right, when you go to the doctors and they fob you off to go and see the pharmacist for them to give you like a shorter prescription. So that's what they did with me. And then I was sat there in the pharmacist's chair while he was there with his little, the little mic, whatever the tool is to look in your throat with the light and all the rest of it. And he opened my mouth and he put his tool there to shine a light in it. And the expression was just pure and utter horror. His entire expression just sort of went, okay, yes, here, have a 5-day course of penicillin. And if it doesn't work, then definitely call the doctor again to rearrange an appointment with them.
Do you know why he was horrified?
So funny. Go on.
He's not used to seeing brains in people's mouths.
Brains?
Because you tend to put your foot in it a lot. Your Twitter threads go.
Do you mean
if I'm putting my foot
in people's
my
mouths?
Yeah, you know what I meant.
I didn't. I really didn't. I was struggling, Jake. But I get it now. Anyway.
But yes, I'm doing better now. God,
it's horrible, mate. I've had it like the past 3 years. I've probably had tonsillitis 4 times, and I don't know why. Once was I went on a stag do, right? And that's not a good sign, right? When you come back from a stag do with tonsillitis, there was questions. Yikes. I'd not misbehaved, but I do distinctively remember squidging around my shoes in like drunk, like bar filth, all that stuff, or the whole 3 days. And then every night being hammered and not being able to undo my laces. So using my teeth that had been in all of that disgusting.
Oh, no.
So then I started to put two and two together where, that had come from. But everything else since then, because I'm surprised, because like that needed antibiotics because it's bacterial, but the other 3 times have been like viral, just like from a cold, then getting tonsillitis. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's vile. And I do feel for you there. But I always feel like when it's coming on, I'm like, no. I thought it was coming
Go
on
away.
this year, but I've invested in throat sprays, and now not all like doctors abide by them, but some do. Some pharmacists say they're quite useful. They're not like guaranteed to work, but they do kind of come up with a protective layer, so they are quite useful. If you feel something coming on, just use it. That's what I've managed to do the last couple of times. But yes,
and to be fair, for you, you need to protect your voice anyway. It's your moneymaker.
Well, that's exactly it. I started to lose my voice before Christmas. I lost like probably a week's worth of work because I just couldn't use it. So, yeah. You know the
sci-fi horror movie called Life, got Ryan Reynolds and like a bunch of other famous people in it.
Nope.
Well, they find a random alien in space. Anyway, my throat looked like the ending escape pod scene from that movie. If anybody wants to Google it after they've watched/listened to this episode, that's what my throat looked like, and that's exactly why the pharmacist looked absolutely horrified when he looked inside my mouth. So
I'm surprised he did that, because pharmacists usually don't even go that far. Like, are you sure it was a pharmacist?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for God's sake.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't a prostate exam where I felt both of their hands on my shoulders, and yet I felt the exam going on. It wasn't.
Well, I think a lot of Wednesday fans might have felt both of someone's hands on their shoulders after.
Yes.
After
who got more done in this week? Bonnie Blue with 1,000 men, or was it Sheffield Wednesday supporters? That's the big question.
Jesus Christ, that's very topical.
Yeah.
My mate said something really funny, because he was like, I was like, oh, I've just seen on Twitter that sign-up sheet where you can sign up to be like one of the 1,000. He went, oh, that's disgusting. Where'd you find that again? Oh, and that was my laugh of the week. But yeah, we usually talk about my week here. It's been I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 when I've had time. I'm doing that on an honor mode at the minute, so that's fun. I've had a bit of time to do that. It's been quieter this week than it was last week, but we got a lot of birthdays coming up and things like that, so I'm going to be very busy over the next few weeks. And then obviously streaming Leeds one Sunday. We were going to do the podcast after that, but there's enough to talk about today. There's plenty to talk about. So the podcast, this is the
podcast,
usual podcast you would see this Sunday/Monday. This is the podcast. It will mean there's an extended time between the next podcast, but to be honest, we'll probably need a break. Or there'll probably be an emergency podcast when Danny Röhl walks out of the door. So, without further ado, boys, this whole episode is focused around the fan forum, because it just... we were going to be quoting things.
Can we, before we start, a scale of 1 to 10 as where you thought it was going to be and where you expected?
I thought it'd probably be like a 6 on the scale of bad. Like, I thought he'd say some stupid things re season tickets and stuff like that, and funds and stuff. I did not expect a 10. Which I would say it was, with the later comments and the situation in terms of horror. What about you, Jack?
I thought there was going to... I thought the most arguments would be over like season ticket prices and that sort of a thing. And then it turns out that no, it was way worse. The nuclear bombs went off. It was like the frigging world-ending scenario sirens were going off by the end of the night. And it's like, I just... I expected it to be bad. I didn't realize it would be this bad. But... See,
I had it as a 5, and then the more it went on, the more I kept on getting flashback to when Darren Moore went, and the more it kept on going. I was like, I've seen this movie before. I know what happens.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going down the play-by-play. I'll be using the Star article that was the live updates mainly. So thank you very much for your reporting on that, Alex Miller. We'll be using that to draw from, because obviously, none of us were at the fans forum. I know some of the pods were. I know a lot of fans were. I had a chat with quite a few people at the fans forum, so I've got some interesting insight. And let's just say I will probably definitely go to one if I could make it work with work in the future, because that was interesting. And I hope we don't have any more, to be honest, like that, because Well, they are useful, but I don't think with our owner being who he is, I'm sorry to say this, we've gone full circle. We were a podcast that probably were your last line of defense, Chansiri, in certain aspects, but I can't think a single one of us on here can see any way out of this because it was abysmal. And let's go from the start. So we'll also talk about a bit of because the Dom was reporting for the Examiner as well, so we might draw some things from there. But it's worth mentioning there was the general manager, Alistair Wilson, there as well, who answered some stuff. And there was also, who's the other guy?
Trevor Braithwaite, head of communications, and Richard Stanford, I want to say.
Yeah, so people involved in basically trying to keep Chansiri on a lead as well, which is what it ended up turning into later on. The general manager explained that it was called because Chansiri received a lot of direct messages, some offensive in nature. Shock horror, guys. Yeah, we still shouldn't do that, guy. But I don't think that's the majority of them. I also, from what I've seen, actually, I think what he finds offensive and what he says crosses the line is actually just a genuine question about football clubs. Like, I condemn anything that's personal or against his family or anything like that. But if someone's asking you, how much would it take to sell the club? And then later on you're saying, oh, that's crossed the line. Would you accept?
Yeah.
You know, that get a grip.
Or doing the counter accusatory questions of, well, why don't you sell your house? And that sort of thing. There's been the constant, repeated response to these sorts of questions. Well, why don't you sell your house then? How about that?
It set the tone from the offset with that first bit. I don't think it needed to have that as the thing. It could have been, the chairman, please, you're all here. We haven't spoken in a while. But to start it with the offensive thing, it puts everything on automatically, right, you know where this is going.
I'm sorry for the camera angle that James has just gone to on his phone that was.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
It's really making me laugh. What every Wednesday fan saw that we're keeping up with the Chansiri thing last night.
No, I'm just I'm trying to make sure a delivery doesn't come during this podcast because that'd be a pain in the arse. But
sorry, that's just made me laugh.
Professionalism, Jack.
Oh.
By the way, if that screenshot of that goes anywhere, you're both dead.
I mean, I've not screenshotted it, so
I'm not screenshotted it either.
Laughing.
That makes a change. Jake screenshots everything, and then I get Photoshop pictures of myself.
Yeah.
He's got too much time on his hands.
He does that to you as well?
Yeah.
He does that to me all the time.
Yeah, but I've got more ammo with you, Jack. You stream regularly.
Right. The bloody the sofa thing, just waiting for a new job, and it's
I forgot about that.
And then there's the Brazzers logo that he's put in the bottom right corner. Like, thanks, great. What sort of precedent does that set, Jake?
Anyway, into the fans forum with professionalism.
Yes.
Yep.
It starts
James the Chairman
with
couldn't keep up with that same level of professionalism, but anyway.
This is at 7:10, so it's the first set of questions. It's on Danny Röhl. This is from the Star article again. All these quotes will be from. So, quote, DC rejects any notion he has not backed Röhl financially, says he backed all his managers. Quote, I give them what they want, more than they ask, he says. He shrugs, says he has no friction with Danny Röhl, says he has not seen Danny Röhl's comments in the media over recent weeks. Can I just say, that is a lie, because he literally says later on that the comments...
He's very brave.
They were brave.
Yeah.
So, not a great start. Makes it clear it's not unusual Danny Röhl is not at the forum. Invites Danny Röhl to attend the forum if he wants to come. Jokes that a fan can have his number to invite him. Continues to claim he doesn't know of any friction with Danny Röhl. Back to the January window. He said he gave him 11 players instead of 5 in the summer window. Backed him with a big, expensive coaching team. DC claims decision to bring Chris Powell and set-piece coaches. He claims it was his decision to bring Chris Powell and set-piece coaches to S6, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, so on that, straight away, have we got anything to say on the fact that obviously we now know as that developed, it was an untruth from the chairman there, Jack? What are you feeling with that start straight on Danny Röhl saying there's no friction?
I mean, it seems very petty, and it's like, well, you're giving the wrong person credit here. I'm the one that should have the credit because I'm the one that said to bring the set piece coach and Chris Powell. Immediately, it's like some weird little childish tug of war of like, this is my toy actually. You're saying it's somebody else's toy, but it's my toy.
Either that, or he's saying it's because it's written quickly. He could be saying that he backed him with Chris Powell and set pieces. That was Danny Röhl's decision. Either way, he's sort of stating, "Well, look at all this we've done in the summer. We're not doing it in January." So he's using that as an excuse, Jake. So what do you think?
I have the thing is where a lot of people go at him going, he's not back manager. He had back manager. It depends what you are classing as backing kind of thing. Fans have a different way of what backing is. And the thing is, in the summer, he brought in a lot of players, but the transfer window's 2 rounds. You get a summer one, you get a January one. If you're not planning for a January one, there's a problem. And it's like, I understand in a sense, like with the question, but he come straight off the attack with no needed. All the question was is Danny going to get backed? It wasn't, he's immediately attacked. Where the question hasn't been an attack.
No. And he follows up with this and says, he was talking about how he says the recruitment team and the manager talk together before making a decision and coming to Chansiri. Says that has always been the process. Quote, if the coach does not come to me, it means he does not want one new player. End quote. Says he will always back the club he loves. Says in January, the window's more difficult to get new players due to competition, more difficult to do deals. The summer is easier. Says the club do not wait until late in the window, but some deals are difficult. He says deals should be easier. Like, you've done this for 10 years, man.
What?
Nearly all the deals we've had have been quite late in the window.
Yep. And that then develops because a fan encourages him to embrace the opportunity he has with Danny Röhl at the helm, whereas he then responds and says he always backs the coach, but he needs to know what players he wants. Says coaches must make a case for each potential deal. Some deals he is not always comfortable with, but he wants managers to feel backed. Gives an opinion, but job is that of the manager. The job is that of the managers and the recruitment team. He says he makes decisions on the finances, and that is it. Says he hasn't been told of any targets / provided a list of any targets. Agrees with the fan that it's amazing that he hasn't had a list. Spoke to Danny Röhl a few months back about requirements. Quote, 2 and 3 incoming deals discussed. Says he gives managers more power over the transfers than at other clubs. And then again, he talks about bringing in 11 players. And then he says this. Said there were things to... Said to see where things were in December after previously talking to him. If mid-table, no January push. If close, then would have a January push. Says top 2 is much to dream. Wants top 6 given investment.
What?
So again, this top 6 thing comes running around.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's invested anywhere near enough to be thinking of top 6. And it's amazing that a manager such as Danny Röhl wouldn't have provided a list to someone about transfers that he wants.
See, this is the bit that I don't get, because back in October, Danny did a press conference saying we sat down with Kevin and the chairman to talk about our transfer window. We sat down and had an idea what player we're looking at. The thing is, what I don't get is that I don't see Danny, who's a very data-driven manager, not have a list of players for him.
I just don't get it. Jack, do you buy this, that he's not on a list?
I sort of, last night, when he was saying things like this, that there are no targets, there is no list, blah, 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 I sort of saw it as sort of like an overcompensation to not give any inkling of who we're going after away because of, for example, the Connor Coventry situation last year, where we were about to sign him and then suddenly Charlton came along and said, yes, we want him. Or, as we'll talk about later, Shay Charles gets apparently recalled, even though there's no official confirmation from anyone that that's happened. And then apparently Sheffield United are going stupidly hard trying to get him. And, you know, that he doesn't want to have that situation sort of happen again. So I can see it being a very, very scuffed way of protecting the deals they potentially have in place anyway. And, you know, But
so you thought that at the moment. I assume that might have changed slightly as the night went on, Jack, that opinion. Because they're literally...
He went too hardline later on, didn't he? About there are no
he went
lists,
too.
he
probably went too honest later on because we find out the truth. He literally says, a fan goes, well, you're here now, get a meeting with Danny Röhl in tomorrow, get some applause from the audience. And then he says he shouldn't chase his employee, will do what he can to support. Now, I made a video and I use this example, boys. This is a very small example, right? This podcast, if I just don't say anything and just expect you guys to do some things will get done. But if I don't tell you when, where, give deadlines and things like that, for such a small project such as ours, it won't happen because I'm running it. He's running a football club.
Yep.
How do you expect the people that you work with and the people that work for you to know what they're doing if you've not set parameters? If Chansiri should have set a deadline for Danny Röhl to come to him with targets. And if that doesn't happen, he then speaks to the recruitment team and you speak to your manager. He's taking no responsibility. And I find that ridiculous, Jake.
The bit that's getting me with that is it's the bit of like, there's a line where he goes, please, I won't go to Danny and go, please, please, please. But you're the owner, you're the boss, you're the person with responsibility. If you give Jack a deadline for in 3 months' time, make 1 billion TikToks or something, and he hasn't done it and it's 6 months down the line, you're going to turn around and go, hey, Jack, why are you not done all these TikToks? You're going to question it, aren't you?
Yeah, or I'll do the actual millennium manager way of doing it and go, is there anything I can do to help you? There's the reason why we've not got to that, because that's the way you sort of, that's what Chansiri should be doing. He should go, oh, we haven't had this. Is there anything I can do to help? If you're a responsible, proactive, management structure, that's what happens. And if he says he's not just the custodian, he needs someone in that role.
Yeah.
He needs somebody organising the transfers.
For me, it's just the lack of wanting to take responsibility. I want to have all the praise when things go right, but not the running and everything else. That's what it feels like. And the problem you've got is if that's how the structures run, it's not going to work. You need to have clear guidelines. Like, I have a funny feeling Danny wanted January 1st to hit it really hard, get our target, speak to people, done.
That's what it lined up like. That's what I was thinking with the way he was talking at the start of December. Jack, your thoughts?
It's just chaos. But then again, if you go back to a few years ago when all the points deduction was happening and all that was going on, there was that big expose article by The Athletic where an unnamed source from Wednesday from the footballing staff actually came and said there is no structure. It's just chaos. How it's run. It's so. Was
that the one where it was like a group WhatsApp?
And then when they detailed how contract talks were happening in WhatsApps and all that sort of chaotic, like reactionary. There is no plan. It's just react to what happens, and that clearly hasn't changed. Like
that's definitely what it feels like, isn't it? Because you think when you've got a CEO who runs a club. They would have, I don't like this, we do it as a group sort of thing. Because Chansiri, if you're controlling the purse strings, there's nobody else in that club who can specifically go, right, this is the exact budget, I can sanction this deal. Yeah. The CEO will speak to the owner, go, what's our budget for this? What is our budget if we do this? What position we're in, blah, blah, blah. Have variable budgets for different scenarios and different positions. And then the manager will come to them, go, I need this. They will debate it with the CEO. They can sign off. They've got executive order to sign off on things so they don't have to then go to the chairman all the time because the chairman's doing other things, as he clearly is, because he seems to not be hands-on at all with the club anymore, which is what we want, but you need to have someone in place.
The thing that gets me, they brought up something about a CEO, right? And the thing was, a CEO can make things more complicated. Not if you hire a good one. You hire a good one and it's easy. You hire a bad one, it's going to be complicated.
Jack, if you're my CEO, I say to you, right, here's our budget for summer or whatever, January. I say we've just spent 10 million in the summer. We have got £3 million in January. It's not ideal. You can use that either. The manager can use that in any way he wants. If it's the loan market, if it's the freeze, if it's this is the 3 million. This is the sort of wage structure we're looking at. You can say let's go with 5 million total. That includes wage structures. Blah 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 blah. You do what you can with that. I will sanction up to 5 million. If there is a push and the manager has ambitions of top 2. Then we can renegotiate and I can provide this. Then please come and speak to me if the manager feels like they need more. But if they can reach their targets with this budget, fantastic. And then the CEO goes off and sanctions all of those deals. You would do that, Jack. And then if you came back to me and you'd sanctioned £10 million worth of deals, I'd sack you. Because that's not what we discussed. Do you know what I mean? That's the structure works. But instead, the club works because someone's always hands-on. And then it's your job as the CEO to be checking in with the manager and the recruitment team as much as possible to make sure the wheels are turning. And you're heavily involved with that. And then the chairman doesn't need to be involved at all. He can go, oh, lovely. So the CEO can message him going, we've agreed to sign this player. And the chairman just goes, fantastic. Because that's what's been sanctioned.
Can you just reread the line for me when it was about around January where we were in the table for me again, James?
Yeah, so he says, DC says he brought in 11 players in the summer because he knows January can be difficult. Said they would see where things were in December. If mid-table, no real January push. If close, then would have a January push. Says top 2 is too much to dream, wants top 6 given investment. Yeah, I know what you're about to say. Carry on.
We are 3 points off it. We are 3 points in a championship league with, I don't think it's the strongest. I don't think it's the strongest championship in a long time.
A lot of tricky teams in there, but it's well up for a go with a good manager.
Yeah, the playoffs is there for the taking, basically.
We are 3 points away from it, and you're saying if we're close. We are close. This is the thing. You don't see 3 points as close, or you don't back him to do the job.
He also shouldn't have said that. Because we as a fan base were consolidating in mid-table. We were happy. Do you know what I mean? He could have said, this season's about staying up and stabilising, and then over the next few seasons, we'll give it a go.
Yeah, we've done this before.
Said
Remember when
he would
bought
back the manager for a go.
Yeah. But also, he'd done this before when he bought the club. I want Prem in 2 years. He overestimates everything and then underdelivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants,
and then the CEO
he wants things for nothing.
The CEO thing, we had a few years ago, we had Katrin Mayer as the CEO that was actually keeping the ball rolling, and the club was actually really stable. And it was yes, we were sort of drifting mid-table under Gary Monk. Sorry, Andy, to mention his name. But the ball was moving smoothly. She goes, and then immediately after that, we've got all the financial turmoil. We've got all the points deduction stuff that happens immediately after that. Like, I don't think it's actually a worried that it's all going to become messy and this, that, and the other. I think it's a power thing. I think Chansiri wants to have that yes-no power over absolutely everything, because in his eyes, it's probably his money being spent, so no one else is allowed to touch that. That's my money that's being spent, and I'm self-funding this club. There's not lots of supplementary income coming in. It's all from me, so I get the say on absolutely everything. And I just got real vibes of like, I don't want anyone else to have control over these things. I want it to be all on me, because I'm the main character here in this big Sheffield Wednesday show. It's all me. And I just got that real impression from the dismissal of this sensible idea.
Well, what you've said about the CEO there and her leaving, obviously the damage was done before she was in place, actually.
Yeah.
So with the points deductions there,
she was good with the point deduction, though.
You what, sorry?
She was good in the point deduction because she already knew what she was doing.
Chansiri came in and basically rocket launched our finances, basically. And he has learned from that. But I think when he's talking about CEOs, he's exactly like you said. He doesn't want to give a big pot of money for someone else to deal with then. Then, Chansiri, you need to be here every single day. Every single day, and you need to be talking to your manager, which he says it's not his job to chase him. I'm not going to chase my manager. It is. If you're the one that's responsible,
you're the boss. You've got to. Oh my God! It's like if he's coming out with things like this, how have his previous business endeavors been successful? If this is the attitude he's got of, I'm not going to chase my employees that are in charge of things. No, sod it. If it goes wrong, then I'll react. But
like I think he turned around and said the rule is that they have to speak to me once a week. When it was Darren Moore, he spoke every day. So if Danny missed the phone call on a 1 week, the second week you're going and he hasn't done it, you're going, right, I'll ring you then. What's up? What's happened?
Yep. It's very worrying early on, and then half an hour goes in and Danny gets his back up. DC on the 1867 group protests. Questioner introduces himself as Rob Ilfield as the 1867 group. Asks why he doesn't sell after saying years ago he would sell if fans want him to. Chansiri speaks passionately. He stands at this moment, says fans should not buy a ticket if you do not agree with what they can cut. That's basically don't come if you don't agree with me. Says fans should find a buyer. It's not his job to find a buyer. That fan then asks whose job it should be. Chansiri says if fans can find. Chansiri says if fans can find a buyer, he will listen. That fan then claims he was barred from a meeting with Chansiri. The general manager then takes the mics to promise not to ban attendees was made but not in writing. So they talk about that, with potential threats of bans and the likes. There's a passionate back and forth exchange between them, and Chansiri stands throughout pretty much it all. So this is a first example of Chansiri saying fans should find a buyer. It's not, because the thing is, later on he talks about investment. He's always talking. There's a quote in here that says it's the fans' responsibility. I need fans of the club, business-minded fans, to help me bring in investment. Right. That's not how it works. If you need investment, that's not our job.
Yeah. The only way I can see why he said buyer is because he doesn't want to sell.
He doesn't want to sell, but everybody now wants him to sell. I don't think I've spoken to many people along with maybe a couple, right? But I genuinely think, given the situation we're in, given the fact that we are one of the most overachieving clubs in the Championship with what we've currently got, any other owner in the Championship would be doing better than Chansiri. And I'm feeling quite confident in that now, actually, because of the way we're overachieving. We've got like the top 6 lowest finances in terms of what we spend on players and wages, and we're overachieving with the manager we've got. So if you had an owner in there that was willing to actually run the club properly, then I think we would be in with a chance this season. I'm not saying it all relies on a chance this season. I'm just saying he talks absolute crap because he compares to the fans. He never compares it to other clubs and other ownerships that are doing it so much better. He's always like, oh, the fans should do, if your fans might think they can do better, but you don't understand, blah, 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 blah. We see it in other clubs. We're not blind.
Well,
Jack.
they start...
Or Jake, sorry.
I'll just say this bit and then Jack can have it say. But they did start it. He did start saying, is anyone in here a business owner? That was one of his first lines to everyone in the actual room. So he's already set that kind of thing to go, if you don't know business, you're not going to be able to understand it.
Just inferiority complex again. And I'm laying into him now because I'm angry. Everything is alleged, everything and whatever. I don't care. We're saying opinions on here because I think we're all fed up. Jack.
Well, it's that when I read this last night about the fact that it's apparently the fans' job to find a buyer and all this, that, and the other, that sent me over the edge because it is literally his job to find someone to buy the club. Milan Mandaric went and sought out people to buy the club when he actually was willing to keep hold of us for at least another couple of years. But he still went out and found Chansiri and just assessed if it was a good deal or not and all that sort of thing. And there's entire legal sectors and third parties that you literally hire to find someone to buy your business or whatever. There's entire things that you don't have to just go into administration for administrators to then come in and do that job. You can seek these people out yourself. You don't even have to get fans to do it. But I just, it's so frustrating. Like, but yes, there are the cases where fans have gone and found buyers. The Birmingham
consortiums,
massive,
and the
huge
likes.
Birmingham takeover thing, that was literally their CEO that, as of recording, I think today or yesterday, has stepped down for personal reasons as their CEO. But he was the one that was the intermediary that went to this American consortium, the Nighthead group, and pitched the idea of buying Birmingham and got that whole thing to happen, because their previous ownership was saying the exact same things as Chansiri, as, you fans, if you think you can do better, you go and find a buyer. And that's exactly what they did. In our case, it could be that Adam Shaw guy. If he's not going to buy it himself,
I don't believe the validity in that one.
That goes out to
personally.
find it. But, just as an idea or whatever. Yeah. But it's literally his business to sell. But I know that there's, I can't remember off the top of my head. There's an article I've read that business typically in Southeast Asia and Oceania and that sort of area, business owners don't sell. They wait until the business is practically on the brink of extinction and get administrators in to then sell the business that way. They don't sell it when the business is in a profitable position. And this is case in point what is happening right now as well.
He talks about how he wants it to go into good hands, etc. Like, you're actually making sure it fades so no good hands will be able to pick it up. It will be administrators that come in the way it ends up. And the one thing is, he'll say, in response to what you just said there, Jack, well, I don't want to sell, so why should I find a buyer? And it's actually what that fan said to him. You said if the fans want you to go, you will sell the club. So you're now breaking your word, because I would say if you actually polled all the Wednesday fans, the majority of him would want him out now and want to change.
It'd be like 80% saying yes, I'd say. Yeah. I'd make an estimate, mental estimate.
We even said, last time this kicked off, and I don't even think this would work now, I said, look, he should become a shareholder and have like a third of the club. Yeah. So he's still got his executive privileges, all of that stuff. But I don't even know if that'd work now, because he's not doing his job at looking after the club. And he tells about he wants to protect the club and stuff like that. You're not protecting the club by falling out with the manager, and we'll get to that later, allegedly.
You're not protecting the club by doing the fan forums.
Yeah,
exactly. Like we have said, like the entire football Twitter and not Twitter. Yeah, we're trending last night. The chairman. Guess what? His family probably don't like their name plastered all over Twitter is their name for not good reasons.
Yep. It's never good either. It's never good. Like, the only positive we've ever had was a promotion from the league he got us relegated from. It's crazy. Like, right, this was at 7:45, so it'd been going for 45 minutes. DC on transfers. Fan recalls Danny Röhl interview with BBC Radio Sheffield, in which he encouraged fans to ask Chansiri what transfers were possible. Chansiri again suggests Danny Röhl should come to the forum, says the comment was, quote, brave, says he does not know if he has done something wrong. There's 2 weeks left. Says he will not allow anything to happen to damage the club. Says he's always available to speak to football staff. Darren Moore spoke often, Danny Röhl not so. Calls any suggestion he is unavailable to speak is bull word.
Yeah.
It just goes off what we're saying there, Jake, doesn't it?
So if he's unaware, if he's totally unaware of what Danny said to the press, as he previously stated not that long before this, and then he's now saying that Danny Röhl's comments to the BBC were brave, which one is it? Are you aware of the comments or are you not? What are you now saying? That you do know, that you don't know? I don't get it. And I'm not having this English isn't my first language thing anymore, because he's been here 10 years now. Like, he's been in it for 10 years, and he keeps doing these things. He understands English very well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too well.
And if you really do struggle with
certain things now,
get an interpreter.
Exactly. It's not gonna diminish your public image or anything like that, or bring shame to you for saying, I've got a translator here to make communication easier. If anything,
well, guys, that in a couple of days there will be a statement, right?
Oh God, yeah.
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 100%.
And he'll say this, and he'll talk about how unfair it is, and he'll talk about how the fans want it. These are negative fans. I know this is not the majority of our fan base. I'm sorry, it is now.
It's getting that way. That is
getting
the
that
thing.
way.
The thing is,
we're
you
tired.
can't keep. We're sick to death. All I wanted this season, boys, was a mid-table finish, some stability, and none of this crap.
Drama.
Because
We
it's
said that.
every
Jake,
season.
The views, the sweet
I don't.
You thrive on this, Jake, on the negativity. It's all your channel's based on.
But the thing is, I don't get why he has to always throw a massive banner in the ring. But it's like, it's the moment something happens. There's a line in this where somewhere he goes, it's something like, the players do well, it's on the coach. Something bad happens, it's my fault. Yes, it is. Because you're the one that's done it. I don't get where we have to keep having this whole back and forth where we're the problems, yet you're not. On the moment, it's the moment anything that critical of what he's done or how he's done. No one's saying you haven't put a lot of money into the club. No one's saying that when you nearly got to the Prem, we weren't grateful. It's the thing that
Everything
we can't
else
keep
since
going
then.
back.
Yeah.
We can't keep going back to 2016, 2017 going, oh, look how great this was. We've had FFP. We've had multiple point deductions. We've had multiple tax bills issues. We've been relegated. We've been in League One. This is all in 10 years.
Yep.
What have you learned to make it so this doesn't happen again? Because all we hear is, I'll try my best. Your best doesn't sound like it there.
It's not good enough anymore. You need investment, and nobody's going to... if he ever hears this, I'm never getting near Hillsborough. Nobody is going to want to invest with you there after all the damage you have done. Go and buy another football club and start again. Sell us and buy someone in League One that will be thankful for your investment, because you are not going to get the investment in Sheffield Wednesday, because nobody is going to want to invest with you having the majority stake.
Can I just, this is the other thing I've got. You know, like when we've had a couple of managers now, right?
Yep.
Do you think they walk in and go, I've seen this. You're not going to do this to me, are you? Kind of thing. It's like, how do you then get managers on board to come in, or players? Like the one thing that I've seen this all for fans and stuff. The one thing that's gone through my head today, how are the players thinking about this?
Well, it's a question. Say if like we were all like worth 200 million each, sort of thing, and we had a hypothetical. We're worth 200 million. We'd won a bit on the lotto. We'd invested it. We've got stocks of days, all that sort of stuff. We think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to take a massive gamble on the club I love. I'm going to put like 40 million, 45, whatever, in investment and buy a minority share in Sheffield Wednesday, sort of thing. The valuation, I'll buy a minority share. I'll have the executive privileges. I'll be invested in my club, that sort of thing. I'll have more of a say. Would you do it under this current ownership if you were in that position? Because I think I would have at any other point in history, but not under Chansiri.
No, but I would want a lot of things put in contracts and lawyers.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you would then? You would take a minority stake?
I would only do it if I was kind of properly lawyered up. They're the break if he does X, Y, and Z and that. But unless I haven't got security like that, I'm not touching it. And the problem is, I know for a fact he wouldn't take that deal.
The way he's sounding like it, he would. You know, for a minority stake sort of thing, investment, because you don't get something for nothing, Jack.
If it was Milan Mandaric, I'd absolutely snap your hand off at that sort of an idea. But with Chansiri, no, because Chansiri had always pulled the seniority card of, I've been here 10 years, you've been here 5 minutes. We're doing what I say, not what you say. And that's just evidenced by his past behaviours of even last night. Like Jake said, I'd do, if it push comes to shove and I had to do that with Chansiri, I'd have all of those measures in place as well. But like Jake said, I don't think he'd take that deal. I don't think he'd be willing to have that.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'd do it is if I had, like the Jim Radcliffe thing and the Ineos thing where they control all the footballing things. However, it'd be a case of like, I'd then be like, well, we need to split this fair. If you're doing this, you need to invest this. If I'm investing this, because I'm investing my 20%, you're investing your 80% or whatever it is. Because I've bought this for this. If we're going to like hire a CEO, you have to pay this of it. I have to pay that of it. And I don't think he'd want to do it if someone else was making the decisions.
Yep.
No.
I think
you could just be a custodian and watch the club that way, which is why I think he should become the minority share of Wednesday, if for nothing else other than just to shut us up for like 5 minutes. But it's not going to happen, Then it gets worse somehow.
Technically, there could be a precedent, because the Chansiri name is plastered all over the club. His family could actually go, right, our name's plastered everywhere. We're going to sit on the board. And then we're going to all vote you out of your position as the chairman.
Yeah.
And
I know At's watched this a few times. Chat to me, At. Let's do a coup.
Yeah. Go on, At.
That's a joke for legal reasons.
Yes, that is a joke. This is satire. This is British sarcasm at its finest.
Right. He says at 10 to 8, he says the media should answer questions on the Shay Charles recall deadline. He does not know. Says he believes Shay is good now, but he's not ready for the Premier League. Danny and the team are worried he'd be taken back to Southampton, but he was never worried because Shay isn't ready for Southampton. Now says he's not sure, quote, because of whatever.
How is that an answer?
Because
of whatever.
What?
I think it's because like there's talk about whether he could get recalled or not. If you are Shay Charles, you're on the phone as soon as you hear that the owner of the club you're on loan at doesn't rate you, and he's literally said this publicly in front of a load of fans. He thinks he's good but not ready for the Premier League. Like that would say to me that this do you know what it actually said to me as a fan? This owner has not watched this team enough this season.
Yeah.
Because
Chansiri,
Shay Charles has been so consistent.
I just want to make it very clear to you, Chansiri. His younger brother is a goalkeeper and a permanent player of ours.
Yeah. Yeah. So that means his family are invested in this club.
Yes.
Jack, fill the air while we break down.
Then, of course, knock, knock, knock. By the way, we're recalling him now. Cheers, Dayfon. But
yeah, thanks for saying that. If you think that about him, we'll have him back.
Yeah.
And the best part is, Sheffield United might be buying him. Not loaning him, buying him.
Yep. Yep. It's just...
Technically, we can still hold out hope because they've not given enough notice to just say you can't play the next 2 games. So he is a Wednesday player
but if they
for the
buy
next
him,
2 games. And there also hasn't been any
there's been no statement, and I hope there's stuff that could happen. So talking about that recall thing, I think he said something about damaging Southampton at one point.
Yeah, if Southampton are going to damage us like this, then I'm going to damage Southampton. Yep,
you know when Chansiri said during the playoff that he spoke to the Peterborough chairman and he was like, I don't have any friends in football. This is why.
Yeah.
Yep. Southampton were really good to us with Shay Charles. It was looking like they wanted to keep Shay Charles here. If I had to say, they were umming and ahhing whether to bring Shay Charles back. Shay Charles had said to them, I want to stay at Wednesday. I'm having a good season here, sort of thing. We know that, right? I reckon his agent hears what Chansiri says, and that's why 4 hours later he's recalled officially from. I think Chansiri's checked his phone.
Well, here's the thing: at like 9:50, he gets Trevor Braithwaite told me to be careful at the start. There was nothing more he could say. Suggest legal standpoint. Reads that statement. I can confirm that. And this is about Danny Röhl's approach, but I wonder if there's something very, very similar where they've gone all night. He'd been like, because people were saying that he was on his phone a lot.
Yeah. And his phone kept ringing as well, apparently.
I actually feel, right, allegedly. If he's talking about that, we'll talk about the thing with Röhl, actually.
Yeah.
Did they try and tap Röhl up? Southampton. And it got Chansiri's back up. And there's legal things he can't say for that reason because he's looking into it legally that way. Because you can't, even though it happens all the time, he's doing the actual law of the football and saying you can't tap him up.
That's not a good. That's actually a good point. One I haven't actually thought of. Possibly. Now, the problem is their relationship was fine up until Southampton sacked Russell Martin. By the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, we'll go on to that. So we'll skip a bit. We'll come back to it. He was literally saying at that point that he's not spoken to Danny Röhl since December. That's the big thing. So in terms of transfers, he has not spoken to the manager since December, which would line up with the Southampton links and all of that drama. So Jack, reading between the lines, what do you think's happened there?
Well, not spoken to him since December, but that could have been December the 31st, which was 2 weeks ago. So, they could, yes, technically, they haven't spoken since December officially. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't want to make anything of that potential fraying of the relationship until we've heard again from Danny after this fans forum, because we've only got one side of this alleged troublesome turn of events in their relationship, and it could be getting overplayed well out of proportion from what has actually happened. But I do also slightly wonder on what you were saying about tapping him up. I wonder if they've asked permission to talk to him about it.
This is what I mean.
Said allegedly, and Chansiri said no, unless you're willing to pay the compensation. No. And they've gone to talk to Danny anyway.
That's what I am alluding to might have allegedly happened.
Allegedly. And I just want, that could have been a scenario that has happened. And that's why Chansiri's so, aggrieved about Southampton damaging us somehow, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just, to a certain extent.
And then you could look at it as has Danny come out and he spun it as I'm staying because he knows he doesn't have a choice. And that comes back to the contract, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to go down this speculation rabbit hole, when we were talking about...
tinfoil hats on, guys.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about in the summer when he signed his contract that there was... The media were reporting there was a sticking clause in him signing a contract about a release clause.
Yeah. It was lower than what it used to be as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I reckon that if potentially this would cause a bit of friction, you can imagine this scenario. If there was more of a gentleman's agreement that he would let him talk to clubs in, the top division sort of thing, but it wasn't written. And maybe, we thought maybe he's got a release clause for clubs abroad sort of thing. But if they're in the top division, there's more of a gentleman's agreement, sort of we'll talk about it when it comes sort of thing, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously the first protocol. I wouldn't be impressed with Danny, by the way. If first protocol he looks to ship off to Southampton, I'd be giving him stick, rightly. But if there's been something there that's then got his back up, and now they've obviously had some conflict, and Chansiri learns that Danny wants to speak to Southampton, and then he's turning around and going, well, I'm not going to reach out to Danny. Danny has to come to me. That is so petulant.
Yeah. It's very childish kind of thing. It's I got your toy, but I want to play that one, so I'm going to have this one that you really want and not be able to use ever. And the thing is, if there's a gentleman's agreement, then fair enough. But DC could have looked at gone where we are in the table and gone, hey, I don't really want you going because this is going to be a massive disruption for what we're doing. It's December. We got a January transfer window. On this one, if that is the case, it is Chansiri protecting his asset. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but in that conversation, you go, you're staying, I'm sorry in this situation, but let's talk January.
Yeah.
And let's go for it.
And you talk January and you go, hey, you stay in, let's get an idea of what we're going to do and we'll tack it. Because we're not.
And if we don't do it this season and they sack their manager and they come back in for you, then I'll listen to talks.
Yeah.
Jack?
But yeah, I can see it being sort of well, no, not in the middle of a season. This is a conversation to be having in the summer. If it's a summer the summer break that's longer, and it's in between seasons, then fine. And also, I wonder if there was more of an agreement if it was a German club. Danny's allegedly maybe gone, oh, well, Southampton want to talk to me and I used to work for them and I've got a good relationship with them. And Chansiri's gone, is it a German club? No, you're not talking to them. And all that could have happened and that could have been the case of it. And I don't know. But like, I just think, I want to hear from Danny, really.
The problem is,
if anything gets said, there needs to be both sides of it for me.
The problem is we are now stuck where we were when we got promoted.
Yeah.
He said. It's going to split the fans. Who believes who? And right now, I don't think there's many that are going to believe DC.
No.
The issue you got is there is still, 2 weeks till the transfer window shuts?
Yeah.
And we still got a season to do.
And we might have just lost our standout performer this season.
Yep. We probably have. Let's just say it has. So now we've gone from needing just 2 central defenders and a midfielder. And bear this in mind, the bit that's also getting me, we loaned out Rio Shipton and Sean Fuser. That doesn't get okay without talking to chairman and manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless the head of youth development deals with that. But then again, they are touching first team gone. Few series.
Yes. There. We haven't got a head of youth development.
Didn't someone get promoted?
I think we got a new one. If you remember, we had a
we got a new one. Jack. While you were tonsillitis.
Haslam Gonani.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't realize. Okay,
he was at Burnley and places like that. The thing is, so that
it's clear when it goes on and he starts talking about things he can't talk about, Jake, that he's keeping things from us. So what was the point in even having the fan forum if there's stuff you can't say? If it's about you and Danny Röhl, we don't want this drawn out thing where you allude to things and then we have a statement, blah, 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 because you're not going to make that statement unless you sack him. But I reckon, actually, with the outrage that's rightfully there, Danny will either walk or he'll sack him.
I think he's waiting to get sacked because then he'll get paid off.
Exactly, and he can go anywhere. But if he walks, he's on gardening leave. I reckon that the relationship's broken down because he's trapped in a long contract now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, they should have turned around and gone, hey, let's do 12 months rolling. Then if someone comes in, you can go.
I wouldn't have agreed with that, though, at the time either.
I wouldn't agree with that, but that's the kind of way you do it, or you have whatever. The thing is, unless it's
he's agreed to it. He's agreed to it. And the fact that he'd agreed to it made me think that there must be I reckon what it is, there's a £10 million, this is alleged again, but the rumours that were going around that for Prem clubs, there is a release clause in there, but it's around £10 million and Southampton ain't going to pay that.
Yeah.
So I reckon Danny Röhl's agreed to that.
I think for Southampton, it's either pay that release clause and get Danny Röhl and not have any money to spend on January transfers or anything, or don't pay it and have a kitty for signing players.
There's a reason why the current Southampton manager got a break in his contract at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think it becomes a situation where if they can make it work, maybe it's a cool off period. Danny Röhl can't. It's a release clause that only gets activated after 12 months or something. You know, there is those sort of clauses in there. So something comes in that early. I genuinely feel like he's off. Danny Röhl will be Southampton manager in the summer.
I think we'll be sat here at the end of the season going, right, we're looking for a new manager. Who are we looking at?
Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about with the structure of the club. There's a comment in here, and we're kind of deviating off, which is fine, but we remember what was said, where he starts talking about a fan questions, why have we had so many managers with different styles, like Darren Moore, then Zisco came in, he played a completely different style, and then Danny Röhl comes in with his own style and it's completely different. There's no consistency, and Chansiri sort of shrugs it off and sort of alludes that he does everything for the sake of the club, blah, blah, blah. And I think that if he's going to use this model, he needs a director of football in there, because I genuinely think we need to capitalize on everything Danny Röhl's currently doing. Play this style, because Danny Röhl's starting to the academy play this high intensity as well. So it's a case of if you're going to bring them in, get the whole club playing this format. We can't then have someone come in like bloody that plays oofball or someone that comes and plays a tiki-taka style or something like that. Do you know what I mean? We need a director of football that's looking in the same market as Danny Röhl, so it's easier on these players, and you don't have to have a massive overhaul when a manager does well and gets a better opportunity for their current situation. We can't have the situation where we're left without any prospects because we can just bring in a manager that plays a similar style. Some players won't like it. Some players will go, but more players will understand straight away and not have to relearn everything, which means you get more of a bounce. You get more of a manager coming in and being able to take things as they come. I just look at Liverpool, right? Arne Slot plays a slightly different style to Jurgen Klopp, but it builds on it. It doesn't detract from it. They've not come in and ripped up the rule book.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is going to happen when Danny goes.
The thing, right, there's something that I've just remembered that happened last night and it just hit me. Not only was Chansiri having a go at us, at one point he has a go at Alex Miller, like point to him and said, go ask him why he's reporting this. DC, you're not winning any friends if you're then going at the media. Because if you start attacking them, that's your last line of defense. God.
Do you know he always talks about it's not his job? Guess whose job it is to do that? Alex Miller, who was just pointed at. That is his job to do that and ask these questions.
And it's just what gets me is if we're gonna have another thing where we have to start another situation where we're having to new different style, new different players again, there's never gonna be a structure ever in place. Ever. You're never gonna get that. What they always say, continuity is the best thing because it keeps building and you manage to keep things the same. And the problem is, we not had that. We had 3 years with Carlos, which was fantastic. 2 years with Darren. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, we had Gary Monk that was kind of just suck it and see, but half-arsing it because he just wanted to stick it to Birmingham and not actually be our manager. That was just...
Yeah, there was good spots under Gary Monk, but like again, he inherited quite a good side, to be fair.
Yeah.
And he acted like he didn't. Like he did inherit. We're looking back at it now. It's one of our better sides.
Jesus Christ! Like if had Steve Bruce stayed on, we were winning that league that year. And because of Gary Monk coming in and alienating loads of players and all that sort of thing.
I'll always hate Steve Bruce for that.
I always will say as well, with Steve Bruce, this is where a lot of his hang-ups are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why he doesn't trust managers.
A lot of his responses to certain things seem like they're trauma responses from when Steve Bruce up and left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we felt for him then. We all backed him.
Yeah.
All the fan base rallied him and went, you tried. You know, you brought in the right man. Let's get the next appointment right. And it's just been terrible. You know,
it got some right, some wrong. And then on others, it's just hit and see.
Yeah.
Danny Röhl was a very, very good shout, but he won't even, he's now trying to ruin that. Do you know what it's like? Do you know when you're in a relationship and you feel like you're punching a bit and you're very self-destructive and you manage to destroy it all yourself? Now, some lad's going to sit there and go, why are you calling me out, James? But you managed to self-destroy it. Just
with the way
do your own anxiety, right?
Jack is looking like, I think you just destroyed him.
Oh my God. Yep. That's
right. We've all been there, lads. Right. Okay. You've just blown it up yourself, right? That's what this is like. He's in a relationship where he's punching, right? And he's doing his best to destroy it. He also talks about the HMRC, and there was a good joke at he always pays everything on time, and then a fan turns around and goes, except when you don't, and the room laughs. I found that quite funny.
Yeah.
What was interesting is he talks about obviously not selling to the American consortium. We've already talked a bit about him selling the club, but season tickets.
I also think that he misunderstood that about the American consortium because I don't think I think he misunderstood it as being the Adam Shaw group, and he just heard the word American. He didn't hear the word consortium because he didn't really sort of answer that question. He answered the Adam Shaw question of, well, they've sponsored us, and they haven't sent us the money yet, or something.
There's actually an interesting quote in that, because he says, in regarding to, he doesn't say Adam Shaw, but it's assumed it is. He says, he suggests that prospective owner, presumed to be Adam Shaw, wants a publicity, as doing public interviews is unusual in a club buying process. Says he wanted to invest 100 million into the academy. Chansiri asked for 100 million. It didn't come. I wonder why. Why would he just give you 100 million? Right? But then a fan turns around and says Sheffield United just sold for around 100 million with better facilities, parachute payments, and so on. Chansiri, this made me, this was it. Chansiri's done.
Yeah.
Chansiri says fans claim Wednesday are bigger. Now they say they are smaller. And regarding our direct rivals, he says the clubs are different. Fan asks if an offer of around £100 million came, would he accept? Chansiri says that question has crossed the line. Will not say the figure it would take to sell the club. United just sold for 100 million, right? And they've been in the Prem quite a lot. I understand we've got the potential there, but I'm just saying, over the next decade, we won't. You're already seeing the siphoning off of the young fan base of United. That's been the past decade. You give it another decade, we're done.
Yeah.
They are the bigger club. If we give this up for another decade, we can cling on to being the bigger club, because currently we've probably just got it. But they are ready to overtake us.
With what they got now, we are like hanging on by a nail.
And we are hanging on to history. Let's not sugarcoat that, right? We're hanging on to history and size of fan base. But you start getting investment in there, like it's like nephews and young birthday parties. They're all talking about football, running around in Man City kids. They ask me what team I support. I say Sheffield Wednesday. They get it confused with Sheffield United. That's the damage you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's so dumb is he says that it crosses the line about how much would you sell it for? How much would you accept this, that, and the other? And yet you've just asked fans to go out and find a buyer. What buyer in their right mind would not want to know how much the initial bid should be? How much, it's so, you're asking fans to find a buyer for the club, and then you're not saying how much you'd be willing to accept for it.
The fact he says that 100 million crossed the line as well. Does he think this club's worth more than 100 million? Because it's not.
Right, the reason why I think the club's worth over 100 million is because you factor in stadium.
Yeah.
You put a stadium in there plus club, you're talking 140.
You're also potentially factoring in the debt that the club owes to Chansiri.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah. Didn't United just sell with the stadium for 100 million though?
Yep.
Yeah.
In a city centre?
Yep.
In a prime location?
Yeah.
Yep.
With the Premier League on the bound and the parachute payments?
And all the infrastructure around it, like transport links and all that jazz.
He just doesn't know what he's talking about. Right. And then this further proves it on season tickets. Fan asks why season tickets are amongst the highest in the league, but commercial revenue is lower than traditionally some smaller clubs. Ask whether the general manager is happy with how the club handles ticket sales. Suggests good feeling in the last 2 summers hasn't been capitalised on. Chansiri says he feels disrespected by some fans' questions. Takes back a comment on, if you don't like it, don't come. Takes back his comment.
He apologised as well.
He apologised that he shouldn't have said, if you don't like it, don't come. Because then he's realised, oh crap, people aren't going to start buying tickets now.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what's happened. Says he respects fans and a foreman is an example of that. He's probably had it whispered in his ear. That's why he's on his phone half the way through, because they're saying, say this.
By the way, this was after he took they took a 15-20 minute break. This is now
damage control. Damage control, yes. Right.
This is after he's gone into the back, and so has somebody else, and gone, what the hell are you doing? You can't say that, because people will do exactly that. They won't come and buy tickets. Yeah. You've got to take it back.
Says fan asking question has had a communication with him previously, but that has been told he has attacked him verbally before. Says fans can help him generate more money. Says fan base has plenty of wealthy people. Says fans don't want to do it, so he tries to go from outside. Says he has tried to generate more money, but fans need to help. Repeats they have tried. Fans are doing everything they can. Like, we can't just... we're not just going to drop millions on your doorstep. We're going to...
GDP of Sheffield.
Yeah, we're going to buy
realise
tickets.
The GDP of Sheffield, like Jesus Christ.
This is good because the fan then makes it clear it's not up to fans to advise how to generate income. Says in previous meetings, fans have made suggestions but have been met with, quote, rude response.
Yeah.
Chansiri says they are improving. Fan accuses Chansiri's tone of being childish, repeats that he has never attacked Chansiri. General manager makes it clear that since Macron have been involved, there hasn't been an issue on kit sales. Limited third kit sold out in first day. Obviously, it was a beautiful kit. And it was limited. Yep. A couple of years ago was the issue, but the mega store has greatly improved. Says club averaged less than 20,000 10 years ago, increase of 35% in that time. Wembley saw an influx of... Wembley saw an influx of season tickets, early bird big take up to. Yes, because you guaranteed a ticket for Wednesday if you had a season ticket for next year.
Yep.
Don't act like we don't know that. We've been doing this podcast long enough. Couldn't go back to early bird ticket. Benefit promotion was more sales. General manager says 90% of supporters buy in the first phase. Fan chatter says we have to. Fans clap the fan shout out that they shouldn't be put on at Christmas. General manager says timing of early bird season tickets predates Chansiri's tenure and that Chansiri has followed the process. General manager says early bird prices have gone up 1% while overhead prices have gone up a lot more. Chansiri then goes on to say, I can't find the exact quote, I'll find it. More on season tickets. DC says price goes up and down. He says he is not a fan of season tickets, would prefer tickets to go up and down, would push the club to do well. Right, that doesn't correlate though, because when we're not doing well, the prices are still high. And I don't like this because this is stating that he'd get rid of season tickets, basically, allegedly, and he would go to dynamic pricing.
For a number of years, he hates season tickets.
Yeah. Dynamic pricing. The thing is, you're losing match day stuff anyway. He wants the season ticket holders to not buy a season ticket and pay the on the day prices because he knows they'll come. That's what he wants. But do you know what? Like, offer upgraded season tickets. Say with your season ticket, you spend this much more, you get a pie. You spend this much more, and it's overinflated. But some fans, they go, do you know what? I could buy a season ticket for this much money. And I get a pie every game, I get a pint every game, and I get a home shirt every year.
I'm guaranteed a program.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
I wonder, actually, if that's why he's pricing the season tickets at such a stupidly high price to discourage people buying those and just going for the match per match, like just buying the match per match ticket instead.
Well, this is what I've said in recent... I've moved up to the northeast. I'd potentially still have a season ticket if they weren't so stringent with it. Like, I'd buy a season ticket, go as much as I could, but there's no bloody way now, and I'll go to less and less when the prices are this high because I've got other priorities in my life. And I can watch every Wednesday. We're in a modern world. I can watch every Wednesday game back and do my analysis for the podcast. That's fine, But it doesn't take away from the fact I want to be there as much as possible. But this owner is pricing me out.
Right. This is the other bit on the season tickets bit, which I want to get to as well. Fans say fan can't afford, couldn't price it. It didn't start with DC, but not right. DC said payment structure to support fans and that those help who can afford big payment. Give free ticket to goal didn't happen much before. General manager say financial scheme and community engagement have proven effective. Say club don't shout about these things, but they are there. You should be shouting now about it.
Why are they
That's
not shouting?
Good PR.
Yep.
That's like the PR you want. You want that. You say that the club don't want to turn anyone away, but you are doing with how expensive you're making games. You're making games stupid. Like, we know that on a Tuesday night, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be on Sky Plus. Right, Sky Plus games are now 25 quid each.
Yeah. That's if you don't have Sky.
That's if you don't have Sky, yeah.
Yeah. If you've got Sky, you're paying your monthly fee. Sky Sports,
exactly.
and you've got all of them.
Or you're paying a weekly thing kind of thing they do.
Yeah.
Because you can do that. But you go 25 quid, done. right? Or 25 quid, pie and a pint.
Not to mention, right, a lot of people have got, not us, we are quite proud on the Talking Wednesday podcast. We've not gone down that road. But I don't blame people for it, really. Realistically, a lot of people have got other ways of watching the games through certain sticks that they plug into their TVs. Yes. And you're going to turn more people to that because you can watch the 3 o'clock kickoffs as well. So why would you go to Hillsborough?
Also, you say about the payment structure, why is this not said then when the season tickets and the ticket prices are out every season? Why is it just thrown in a fan forum? There should be a dedicated bit on the website that says, if you're struggling, click here.
Yeah. For payment plan options, click here. There you go.
Yeah. Do you know, I know it's not ideal, but like you should, they could bring in low income concessions. That would for me alleviate all the arguments about it, because if you had, say you were a low income person, and you could prove that obviously because you've got certain things that state it, like your P60 if you work on your own low income, or obviously other reasons, you get a concession price.
Yeah.
That would, for me, be more of a working class spirit of the club. You know? But instead they've tried to go harder on concessions. And that's got me. I'm not going to lie. They talk about how carers will go without their person they're caring for, and they'll take those isolated incidents and make it the reason for raising the concession prices and not letting free carers go and stuff like that. And that's ludicrous to me. That is just anti-fan.
Yeah. It's just like you look at everything and you just think there's so much you could be doing to help with this. But the fan forum engagement panels, they are good, but they feel really gate-kept.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also dismisses the talk of an umbrella group thinking it's hostile. I'll say on this podcast, the only time we've never been contacted by the club directly to get involved with anything, by the way. However, I do believe I didn't see it at the time. I've talked to you boys about, I've missed this message since, but I think we were going to be involved slightly in that umbrella group, or at least consulted on if we'd want to be involved, because they tried to outreach every Wednesday person, right? Involved. So why aren't the club doing more in that aspect? Why it is the fans that have to go to, and I know some great people from the supporters groups, right? And they do great things, but that's not necessarily the supporters engagement panel. The supporters engagement panel is often, you can see it from the notes. They can't ask certain things. It's all about the stuff that we don't want to know. This fans forum is actually good in this respect. It's things one want to ask. It's just the wrong time for it. You know?
Yeah.
When the engagement panels come in, they are usually questions about stuff that aren't pressing. These were the pressing questions, and he didn't have the right answers, and the answers that he did give burnt the whole place down, so I can see why. He talks about the stadium. He suggests the stadium rental money ends up back in the club. Now on FFP, stadium ownership at some clubs is offset by another company. It's normal practice. Says he doesn't understand the fan concern over stadium ownership. Fan asks what future investment in Hillsborough, where would it come from? Club or owner / landlord or tenant? General manager takes the mic and says it's not an issue for now. Attendance increase may need stadium development, but it's not an issue for now. DC says it's not worth expanding the stadium, and the design is difficult for improvements. Some improvements are made each year. Says Wednesday will put safe standing in next year. That's going to open a whole new bar. I quite like it, by the way, but it's going to open a whole new can of worms.
He's got a ready-made blueprint. There's literally
ready-made
goddamn blueprint from like 2012, even before that.
It cost a fortune, though. It was going to be provided for us.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Do you know what? That World Cup bid could have changed Wednesday's history, actually, because we'd have got we'd have got funding from the FA for it.
Yeah. So the FA would have paid for the stadium upgrade.
Yeah, but exactly. So
even then, the amount of money, it's the stupid thing is, I don't actually think that it was all costed up. I don't actually think that's out of the realms of what Chansiri could afford. That's
not back in the start, but I don't think he's got the money anymore. I think he used to.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't get his money from his father, but I'm like, it's all from the business though that's involved with your father, surely.
Yeah.
Because we never hear about anything else.
Technically, it would be his brother now, I think, because
Oh,
I
is
think
it?
his father's banned from insider trading and all that just stuff.
Allegedly, I don't know the insides out.
It's not alleged. They actually got done for it. And
Officially
he's not-
banned.
But I
he's
still
not
don't want to say it, so just allegedly, because I don't know anything about that. Anything my two colleagues have said there are not liable. Just in case they've got the
your
wrong person or the wrong
research
timing. Or no, I'm not going to look into tuna scandals. Right.
I'm not. I'm just going to shout on the internet in tweets with no
Exactly.
evidence to back it up.
Speculation.
You fitted right into Wednesday Twitter there, James. Oh,
I
yes.
know. Just because you said something on Twitter and people got cross with you, Jack, doesn't mean you need to generalize everyone else.
It's always the profile picture. They've always got like the Wednesday badge or a Wednesday player as the profile picture, and just SWFC 66 or something like that. It's like, grow up.
You got so annoyed.
If you're a gammon.
And the fact is, you told me
Jesus
you were going to put
Christ.
that on the Talking Wednesday Twitter, and I was like, God, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I'd have been livid.
Oh.
The one thing I did say, don't call out fans on the Talking Wednesday Twitter because we don't need that. So I'm kind of glad you ended up doing it on your own, but you did see why I'm kind of cautious about what we put on the Twitter now. Yeah. I don't think he's still got over that. Look at his face. Bless him.
Nope.
But safe standing, what do you think to that in general? We obviously have to talk about the positives that could bring, Jake.
It's
Maybe.
a positive done right, but we are not the stadium to be promoting that at a fan forum.
Yeah, I would agree. We're probably not the club that should be bringing that in first in the championship.
No.
I do see the side of that, Jack.
It's great for the 50 people that are going to be allowed to do it, because allegedly every governing body that can say, yes, Hillsborough, the Western Terrace is safe. They're all scared to do it because of a long time ago history, allegedly, according to this meeting.
That's what they say. They say we've passed all the safety regs and it's on us. We're the ones that are limiting the capacity, not the council. So
but people are scared to apparently approve it and say yes, it's safe because of historical events.
Yep.
So we kick on and it's 10:30 now, boys, and it goes. They're talking about Danny Röhl again. Chansiri says he has no issue with Danny Röhl. Does Danny Röhl have an issue with him? ? Says he doesn't know. He says he supports him. Doesn't know why there would be an issue. Says he's given him everything. Quote, more than. Asks again the media to direct any issues at Danny Röhl. Says he will not damage the club. Commits to doing his best. Chansiri says he has prepared something behind the scenes to ensure they are fine. Is Danny Röhl okay with that? Quote, I don't know. He needs to speak to Danny Röhl and not Chansiri. He needs Danny Röhl to speak to him, not Chansiri to reach out to Danny Röhl. Quote, if he does not talk to me, it means he does not need something. Quote, end quote. That's absolute rubbish, by the way. Yeah. Says if Danny Röhl comes to him asking to do transfer business, he will back him. Takes advice from Trevor Braithwaite next to him, who says, quote, I look forward to talk with him if he wants to talk with me. End quote. Says it's not up to him to chase. Gestures to the colleagues on the top table,
yes,
quote.
It is. Oh.
It's very strange, this forum. They don't allow me to say anything, end quote. It's because they're stopping you from having the room lit to light by the fans in there when you reveal you're basically hamstringing Röhl, probably.
Every time, all I kept on thinking was like, stop. No, stop. Immediately.
Like, there was that picture actually of Trevor Braithwaite looking absolutely exhausted that went viral. And on like that man must. Oh my god!
Right, the thing I got here, right? We are preparing something behind the scene. You have either got a massive load of players lined up. He said he wanted to go, and it's ready to go, and you're going to be like, "I've got you him. I've got you him. I've got you him." Who else do you need? But then going in the same breath saying, "Danny needs to speak to me, not me speak to him." How's that going to work then? Are you going to stand from one end with a tin can and he's going to stand on the other end with another tin can, and so you're going to cut it in the middle? I don't get it.
But
They
for me,
need
this
to be
is
in the
this is
same
stating that
room.
again. He's not been entirely truthful about how it works. Who in the recruitment team has he come up with these suggestions with? If not the manager, who the bloody
Kevin
hell is
Beadle, maybe,
responsible?
but-
Kevin Beadle.
Yeah, it'll be Kevin Beadle, surely. Maybe. Who's the chief scout? and all that jazz,
Pacquiao's
but-
got a list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not been named for a while. The thing is, what gets me, it seems like because this is what, 10-ish, getting close. So during that little break, have they all had a meeting and gone, look, we got this. We might have got Danny on board with this. We're fine. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Maybe he's gone back to the Doyen group again. He's gone for a real throwback to 2018 and we're getting in bed with the Doyen group agency again. Oh boy. Because that's going to really work out well, isn't it?
But I'm sorry. It is your job to chase him. You're the owner. You're the main person paying bills. If I need something off James, like a piece of like when we've done like the Talking Wednesday watch along stuff, I've said, hey James, can you just send me that over? James, guess what? Sends it me over. And then if James needs any footage, like, Jake, you got this? Yeah, send that me over. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's like the start of the year. You didn't even know I was doing it, but I set a load of templates and went, here, this is your resources you need for the year. If you need anything else, give me a shout, sort of thing. Like, and then if there's something I come up with an idea for, I talk, like, it's simple management, guys. Like, he owns the club and he's dealing with millions of pounds worth of assets here. I'll
put it this way, these two just know not to go near me near Christmas.
Yes. We're going to put you in the cupboard over Christmas.
Like, you've been on such a short fuse at the minute as well, now.
I don't know, he's been all right with me past couple of weeks. Is it just you he's been a rat with
maybe
now?
Maybe it's just me. Yeah. Maybe it's just me.
That's because Jack just winds me up because he's a lazy git at times.
But it's like my old job as well. Like, hey, Jack, I know it's not your job, but can you do all of the freezer delivery and handle that as well as do all of the 5 a.m. baking at the same time? Like, no, it's not my job, but I'll do it anyway because I know that you won't let me not do it. So I've got to do it. The old biddies in the village, they've got to do without their glazed donuts today because the ice cream's come in. Ooh! But
did you ever work there or did you just moan?
Right. I used to get this rant at like 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning on Snapchat. I wake up and go, what's this then? And it's just
don't ask why there's a man in his mid-30s on Snapchat, by the way, because I don't understand it either.
Where he's going like, what's going on? Because he wakes up, it's like, I'll have to go, is that Jack? I went, yeah. What's up with Jack? I don't know. Something about jam donuts.
Oh, the jam donuts. I hated them. I hated them. But again, to keep it on topic, my manager would be coming in and saying, have you baked the baguettes yet? No? Okay. Can you do those next, please? And that was the manager, the boss, coming to check on if I'm doing okay, if I've got everything sorted. It's the boss's job to keep everything moving and going and running.
It's like we need a little chain of people in commanding places to help run the club.
Because that's what Danny does with all the players and the coaching staff. That's his job to organise all of that. He has his boss above that. You know, like if I'm doing like a role where I'm managing a team, but I've got somebody above me, then they manage me and I manage the team below me. That's the way it works.
Yep.
Anyway, it doesn't get much better because a fan asks if the likes of Gassama, Pierce, Charles are likely to be tied down to long contracts. Chansiri says they will do if they prove it. On Deli Basharu says he has talent but did not have heart to play in the later spell. Said he cannot keep them. It's not good for us. Some players show and the club makes the decision. Coach makes a decision and comes to Chansiri, then says whether or not he'll agree. Fan says anyone with half a football brain can see Deli Basharu had talent. Chansiri says he had talent, but he did not run. Hindsight is easy. At that time, he says, go back to what fans were saying then. Talent was there, and that's why they signed him. Then not good. Now at Lazio, Chansiri says sometimes players are good at times, then they're not. Depends on the coach's analysis. I will say one thing on this. I think Darren Moore let Deli Basharu down in his last year. And we saw the talent, and he should have been played more. And I think his head went down from that. So I think that's on Darren Moore as well. So I won't fully blame him for that. But again, we've lost an asset that's worth €6 million now and has just gone to Lazio.
Yeah.
On a free. Which is great.
Also, DC says he had talent but didn't run. Are you reading Twitter comments?
Yeah. Maybe that's what he is doing.
That feels very much like
very Twitter
comment.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, his head did drop. We did say that. I can't deny we did say that. You know, it was like he wasn't bothered sometimes, but we said
he couldn't be bothered to be here.
There needs to be more financial situations there, because the thing is, in the Championship, I think he was coming on, you know, and we see
like
what
with
happens.
That, Gassama, Shay Charles, long contract, say we'll do it if they prove it. Well, Gassama's already doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, does that mean that Gassama's not on a long contract? Because I'm worried.
Gassama's contract runs out not this season, next season. If Masaba's that runs out this season.
Masaba's runs out this season?
Yes.
I thought they were on 3-4 year deals.
Gassama, yes. Masaba, no.
I'm scared. You're going to lose these players again. Right.
To Southampton.
A mystery £2.5 million payment in accounts. The general manager says it will remain confidential. Interesting. No comment.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the hell's that?
Where did that come from? Not turning the account.
The fact that they made it.
Is that coming into the club?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, going out.
Yeah. It's going out.
I think it was payment going out, not coming in.
Wasn't compensation for Cisco, back in Cisco, and that was the.
Could have been.
He was meant to be on like a rolling contract though.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he's still, if he even doesn't have a rolling contract, it'd be 12 months, and if they'd done it before, like, they wouldn't be able to break it until the end.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you be able to say it then?
Yeah, true, actually.
What do you mean?
He said that will remain. So why would you not be able to say, it was compensation for Cisco?
I think because the general manager says this, it's professionalism. You don't want to say that you give a manager £2.5 million in payoff.
I'm not going to say anything else on what you just said. Said that.
I said general manager professionalism, but maybe not.
Yeah, no. My point still stands.
Okay, cool. I don't know enough about him, but there we go.
Actually,
fair enough.
Yeah, that's a fair comment, Jake. To be fair, actually.
Never getting invited to one of these ever again.
You're never getting let into the ticket office, that's for sure, because apparently he only sells tickets.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
So yeah, that's pretty much most of it. And I'm tired, boys. How are you feeling after all of that? And after we've just discussed it for an hour and a half, Jack?
Well, what we say very clearly matters very little, because nothing that we have to say is of remotely any importance to Chansiri, and he made that very clear, because every single good... And I don't think he liked the fact that the questions were such good questions. I think he wanted the questions to be really like simple, when can we get sponsor boards back on the top of the stadium roof? And
you know what? They felt like one of the better fan forums.
And stuff like that. And I think he felt like he was really underprepared for good questions. And so that's because all of the questions actually weren't that hostile, but he treated them like they were hostile. He immediately went on the attack.
I think he's actually downplayed his idea of hostility, because for me, when he talks about things being hostile and offensive, I'm thinking when you do direct attacks on him and his family, etc., it's not hostile to ask you what your valuation of the football club is. That question's not cross the line. Get a grip.
One of the big things with that is like, if people wanted to, like, if you're like renting a house like you are right now, James, you could quite easily just go on like Rightmove and find out what the valuation was when it sold if you wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's. I reckon the reason he's gone that rude, I won't say that, because he doesn't know what price he wants, because he doesn't want to sell us. That is the first thing. B, I think he's scared that a figure's going to go out again. He's going to go and roll it back and say, I never said that. Because one of the things we've noticed, if we either get, I never said that, or there's so many things in the fan forum he contradicted himself with, especially with the Danny and him not talking situation. Because there's one point where he goes, I know what Danny wants, but you said there isn't a list.
Yeah, how do you know what Danny wants if you've not spoken about a list or targets or anything? How do you know what Danny wants if that's the case? Like, I don't think that our opinions are of any significance or importance to him whatsoever. I think this was an opportunity for him
he has got, I think the word,
club,
Jack.
I am the king, bow down and accept whatever I give you.
I think the word he's got contempt for the fans is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my takeaway from all of this. But we'll leave that there. We'll see what develops. I'm streaming the Leeds game. We are no longer doing a podcast after that because I cannot be bothered with the emotional drain of Sheffield Wednesday this week. So when we get beat by Leeds, I'll be there on the stream. So check that out. And then we will be bringing you a podcast as scheduled the week after, as we always do. But on moving on from that, Jake, have you got anything to say before we end today?
Just stop doing fan forums. Find a way to do better. I'm sick of hearing I try my best. I try my best not to mess my words up, and I still talk rubbish online about Wednesday.
I think he should do them. I just think he should do them at better times than not in the middle of a transfer window. Or be professional in them.
I've said it to multiple people today. A fan forum should be done on the last, once the last game is kicked off on the first week of like the season ending, and then you can have it as a season review at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Done.
That's a good shout, and it could even be done as like an end of season dinner and questions.
Yeah,
do it that way. Make it a little bit more of an environment where you can ask the questions, and then you've got food to throw. No, I'm not suggesting throw through. Jack,
it'll be a vegetarian courses because they don't want any steak knives.
No tomatoes.
I think that the club overall needs to understand that there are actually people out there that may not work for the club and may not be millionaires and be able to buy the club themselves, but actually they might know a little bit about sensible things that the club could do better, and that it is not actually hostile for us to be suggesting those things, and that actually some of us might know a little bit about what we're talking about, even if we're not rich enough to buy into being a shareholder of the club or whatever else. Just because we're the wee little peasants, the peanut gallery, like, some of us actually are intelligent enough to understand what needs to change and what needs to be done better and how we might be able to do that.
It's not the club, it's just one man, and that's proving very, very clear. But yes, guys, that is it for this week's episodes of Talking Wednesday. Take care, and we will see you, hopefully, in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See ya.
Adios.